Alright everyone, welcome back. It is now November 9th of 2023, and given that Disney's in a very troubled and delicate position right now, not just because of what's currently happening with the Marvels and the terrible reviews coming in, but also about what is due for the movie called Wish and Snow White as well for 2025 on top of that, and how Bob Iger is dealing with ongoing failures at the box office one after the other that's going to continue to tank the Disney stock, and it's not going to resolve anytime soon. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we know that Rachel Zegler is the source of the issue related to the all Snow White drama that has been going on, based on her comments about Andrew Burnap, the prince in the original 37 film, as well as her overall thoughts on the general public and how they've been viewing Snow White as a whole. So we know that Rachel Zegler caused Disney a lot of damage to whatever was left of their image, by the way, just a couple of months ago, to the point where even a lot of families are already boycotting Snow White 2025 and are turning over to the Daily Wire to check out Brett Cooper's film instead, which, by the way, I think is gold. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot to do with exactly what's been going on with Rachel Zegler's career in Hollywood and how a lot of new studios are beginning to finally make a decision of blacklisting her and banishing her from any kind of acting roles or gigs in the future. Let's discuss, shall we? Now, with Rachel Zegler dealing with endless backlash from Disney's Snow White, based on her comments in the past months, one major development has to do with her blacklisting from Hollywood and how it recently got more severe. Now, one crucial update to this ongoing drama is that multiple studios that were on the fence of blacklisting Rachel Zegler have finally made their decision to exclude her from ever getting an acting gig or role after all the Disney issues that have been happening behind the scenes. As it turns out, Legendary Pictures just recently dropped Rachel Zegler from all discussions and roles that were locked in for her that were going to be announced by the end of this year. These projects that Zegler recently lost were considered to be one MonsterVerse film that would serve as one of the sequels to the previous films and two thriller movies that will be released by Legendary starring Rachel Zegler. This was all recently called off as Legendary is now looking for a different casting decision to take up these lead roles. One other studio that may come across as a surprise that too was locked in for roles with Rachel was Blumhouse Productions. Zegler was offered a horror film that was going to be announced at the beginning of 2024 and was described to be very much like The Conjuring in nature. Zegler reportedly wanted to expand into horror films, and Blumhouse had her signed up for this role for several months. They too recently dropped her after internally learning about all the Disney drama involving Snow White. To make matters worse for Zegler's position is that this was described to be a horror film that would be open to becoming a full multi-film deal, much like the Conjuring universe by Warner Brothers, as Blumhouse wants to create a competitor against WB's Conjureverse. Now guys, let me just stop here quick. Now, the thing about Zegler is we all know that her team, which by the way consists of her agent and manager, they have been trying desperately to make her the new it girl like Jenna Ortega, alright? Now we know that Jenna is getting more and more roles toppled on top of each other. Whether you love or hate the actress doesn't matter. A lot of studios want Jenna because she's in demand. Now, that's basically what Rachel's team was trying to obtain. They were trying to give her that level of status. And I think that what these people do not understand is that you can't just make somebody an it girl. You have to just have that happen on its own, accidentally. It usually comes with whatever roles you're given, or how you act in your roles, or your overall, appearance as an actress in those movies and how you act that actually gravitates toward the audience. You can't force that in nature, it just does not work. So these roles, and we're going to talk more about this in just a second, these roles that were dropped for Rachel Zegler could have very well established her career further, but I think that in the long run it would have actually turned upside down, because we all know how she's really not that great of an actress, at least in my book. I don't know what you guys have to say about that, but I feel that she's a very subpar actress from what I've seen in You know, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, she's so forgettable to the point where you don't even really remember her after watching that film. Same exact thing applies to what she has done in the Hunger Games. Nothing is really convincing, to me at least, based on the ads or the commercials, through her acting style. Now, we know that Snow White is definitely going to be the final nail in the coffin for her career, and a lot more studios are beginning to wake up slowly but surely about who's box office poison and who is not. But let's continue. Let's get on with all of this. Now, Zegler is now completely banished from Blumhouse and is also never to get an acting opportunity with them again. The last major studio to finally make a call on their removal of Zegler was indeed Sony Pictures, and this is where it gets interesting, to include her in an upcoming superhero film that would be all female-led. This was reportedly going to be connected to the Madam Web movie that is still in the works at Sony. Zegler also wanted to expand into superhero films, and was granted an opportunity by Sony that is now more due to the ongoing Disney-related issues and why they dropped her, and the growth and backlash from the general public over her Snow White role and the comments that she delivered about Andrew Burnap and the prince in the original movie. All in all, more and more studios are dumping Zegler from all these roles, and is the reason why her IMDb remains nearly blank for the future from any major Hollywood studio. Alright, so she's got a couple projects sprinkled in there. They're very small projects, you know, nothing really significant, but no major studio is working with her. Not Disney. They dropped her from several roles due to the ongoing Snow White issues. She was supposed to be involved in the Pirates movies, the reboot films, by the way, as well as several live-action and animated material that were all dropped, many of which were handed over to Jenna Ortega, and even she eventually dropped many of those roles herself because of the agendas that they actually withheld. So what's interesting about that is the fact that you have a lot of these studios that are beginning to at least have some level of, you know, thought processing on who is right for the role and who's not. I think it's going to take a very long time before Hollywood fully understands, you know, how to get the proper actor or actress in these roles that could very well create it into a box office success. Number one, you know, these actors and actresses, they go through PR training, and I think that what we saw months ago that Rachel Zegler said about Snow White was probably the biggest PR disaster that Disney has dealt with in recent times. And it goes to show you that Disney hires the wrong people. They definitely hire the wrong agencies that really prepare actors and actresses for those actual PR situations. And that really just goes to show you as well that Rachel Zegler is not fit for Hollywood in my book. She does not belong there. She does not deserve to be given any kind of major role right off the bat like that. And I was actually quite surprised that she was even getting all these roles out of nowhere after not really having any major roles that were successful. So anyway, guys, you know, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.